Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Slumberland, new movie out now on Netflix, directed by Francis Lawrence, the man who directed Constantine, many of, if not all, of the Hunger Games movies, as well as I Am Legend. Somebody who is, used to dealing with big budgets, special effects, all of those things. Watching this movie, I didn't know who the director was until after, but visually, I absolutely love this movie. I mean, not even just on a visual note, but the visuals in this movie are amazing. Overall, I enjoyed this movie. It's a fantasy adventure of a girl who is basically lucid dreaming throughout most of this movie and going on adventures in her dreams. But also, she's dealing with the trauma and the loss of her father, who passes away at the beginning of this film. Played by, what's his face? Played by Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights, Kyle Chandler. So he's not in a bunch of this movie, but definitely was cool to see. He's got a beard, so didn't necessarily recognize him at first. Had kind of recognized the voice. Also, of course, starring in this movie is Jason Momoa, who plays one of the characters in her dreams. He plays Flip, who is the kind of a loose cannon type of a guy, somebody that was one of the main characters in the stories that her father told. And then also her uncle Philip, who's played by Chris O'Dowd. And then the girl is Marlow Barkley. Great performances. Because this movie primarily takes place in the dream world, a.k.a. Slumberland, it is very surreal, a lot of effects, just amazing visual movie, right? This movie, in so many ways, a lot of the effects that happen in the dream state remind me of Salvador Dali paintings. Like there's a moment where her bed grows legs and then is walking down the street of the city and looks a lot like Salvador Dali's paintings that have the really skinny long legs of like elephants and things like that. So definitely a lot of the imagery evoking one of the all-time masters of surrealism in the art world. But just a great story, a family movie, obviously. The protagonist of this film is a young girl who is dealing with the loss of her father, and living with an uncle who she doesn't really know, doesn't really relate with, changing her life, being uprooted, growing up in a lighthouse, and being, homeschooled by her dad, and now she's living with an uncle she doesn't really connect with, doesn't really know much about, in a city, going to a real school, and she spends a lot of her time trying to escape reality into her dreams and going on these adventures, which I love. It's just such a fun movie, such a fun adventure, creative. The dreams are amazing, how like she's jumping through different dreams, different people's dreams, trying to track down these pearls that were part of this story that her dad told, where a lot of the things kind of come to life. A lot of those stories come to life in her dreams, which I really appreciated that as well. It's just a really fun movie all over the place. And even when this movie starts, you can tell the level of just the visuals you're in store for. Like there's an early scene when her dad is telling her a bedtime story, and she has one of those lights in her room that like kind of decorates the room, right? Some people have like the star globes where it like projects stars and galaxies on their ceiling and walls. This one's kind of like a sea, like a sailors and sea type of, obviously they're on a lighthouse, so, but the lighting on the walls begins to animate and kind of illustrate the story that she's being told. And it's kind of sets you up, gets you primed for the massive amounts of visual effects that are going to happen in this movie, which I felt were seamless. I thought it was beautiful. Obviously, I would imagine the behind the scenes of this movie is primarily these actors standing in giant rooms of green. I would imagine there is very little of this film that is actually filmed on any kind of location. But still, it doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel digital, right? It feels like they're actual real places. Even when she's in the dream world, like there's this one of the dreams she's in, like she's in somebody else's dream, and she hitches a ride on this garbage truck, and all of the buildings in this city, all the skyscrapers, are all made of glass, and at one point they start to shatter, and it's just amazing. Not only the visual effects, but the scale and the scope of a lot of these effects. There's another effect that I believe is in one of the trailers, and it's kind of it's a scene where her and Flip are frozen in time, and one of the detectives that's trying to track them down because they're breaking dream rules is kind of walking around them as they're kind of frozen, trying to escape. Beautiful, gorgeous, loved all that stuff. I also love that kind of the animated sidekick character that's in every kid's movie. There has to be some kind of like even in Wizard of Oz she had Toto, right? In this movie she has Pig. It's literally a stuffed animal named Pig, which I love specifically because my dog Izzy is like a little pug mix, and her favorite toy, which is a toy that I got at IKEA many years ago as a stuffed animal that they sold at IKEA, which is a stuffed pig that is almost the size of my dog Izzy. And I love when she bites it and carries it around because she's like carrying around this pig that's like the size of her. But in this movie, her stuffed animal named Pig, I call her Pig. She used to, back in the day, Izzy I'd say, get Pig, and she would track it down and go get it. Doesn't really have that kind of obedience these days as she's getting old. She's like, nah, I don't think I'm going to play these games anymore, old man. But I loved that my dog's favorite toy is in this movie as well. So just an added kind of personal touch that just in addition to the surreal nature of it, I love surrealism. Salvador Dali is one of my favorite artists. How the dreams are have so much similarities to the work that he would do. The fact that her stuffed pig is named Pig. And comes to life as kind of her sidekick on these adventures. I love that. And I also relate to the fact that a lot of this is a metaphor, or the way she's experiencing the depression of losing her dad, right? Sleeping all the time, right? But in this movie, she's sleeping in order to dream and to continue her adventure in these dreams. But in reality, people who are depressed deal with severe depression, as I do, and as I have for most of my life. Sleeping is one of the only ways, aside from, drug and alcohol use, but especially as a kid, before you get into those kinds of ways of self-medicating, going to sleep and living in dreams can be the only escape sometimes. But even in those moments, those dreams, that escape can be shattered by bad dreams. Because when you go to sleep, no guarantee that what you're going to be experiencing is going to be a pleasant or fun adventure. It could easily be a nightmare, which when she is on these adventures, there is that nightmare presence that is trying to track her down and trying to, feed off of that fear that she has. Like, that's what feeds the nightmares, is the fear she has. So I appreciated the kind of the story, the mythology, the storytelling of everything, how it's a great metaphor for depression, and just a great metaphor for, somebody that might be coping with and dealing with a loss, but also, and, trying to find yourself and trying to establish who you are in this new reality, this new, existence that you have without the, and realizing that you have very little control. Whereas even in her dreams, I mean, she is obviously lucid dreaming more than most people could ever lucid dream, right? This is the movie that everybody who tries to lucid dream or likes or has ever lucid dreamt, this is kind of like the master class of the type of adventures you can go on if you lucid dream. Let's take a little break from the show to promote. I figured out a way on my website to offer prints for every single painting. So if you go to a painting, you can buy the original painting or you can buy a print for everything. Artwork that you don't want to spend $100 plus on 9 by 12 inch ink painting on paper, $100 for the original one-of-a-kind piece of artwork. Paintings range in price depending on their size. The 8 by 10 print, $20. Available in the store at inspireddisorder.com. And now let's get back to the show. There's also a lot of comedy in this as well. I mean, Flip is a very funny character, very bombastic type of a character, kind of a pirate in some ways, but he's got horns. He's definitely a dream character. And somebody that's not necessarily trustworthy. He's a loose cannon. He's out for himself. But of course, they form a bond, this girl and this dream character played by Momoa. But also, there's a scene where she's trying to go to sleep, right, to continue these adventures and continue her search. And by trying to make herself bored and go to sleep, she picks out her uncle, who she's living with, is obsessed with doorknobs, right? Obsessed with picking old locks and just has collections of doorknobs, has this like lock picking kit with this old timey lock that he tries to get her excited about how he knows how to pick a lock. Obviously that comes back into her dream at some point where she needs to utilize those skills. But in her attempt to go to sleep this one night, she gets one of his many books. He has a whole series of books on the history of doorknobs. And there's this scene where she's in bed reading one of these books, hoping that it's going to make her fall asleep because it's a book on doorknobs. And she slams the book down. Damn it! It's too damn interesting. Like, it's hilarious. Hilarious. But it's also makes sense for her character because she would be somebody who would obviously, even though on the surface doorknobs dumb, boring, how could there be a book, let alone a volume, many volumes of books dedicated to doorknobs? But she gets into it, and it's not not the outcome she wanted. But it's great, and it's great where you see what the things in her dreams represent in real life, where the reason why Flip was always one of the characters in the stories her dad told is because both her dad and his brother, who she is her uncle living with, had alternate, it's kind of like how Neo is Anderson, Mr. Anderson in the Matrix, right? They have different characters, different versions of themselves. And, when you find out who these different people are, it even adds new layers to it, which I really enjoyed that too. And, of course, the messaging of just the power of dreams and how dreams are the brave part of yourself. That is where you are fearless. And how if you were to give up on your dreams, not only give up on the dreams that you have at night, but give up on your dreams in your real world, how following your dreams in the real world is the part of you that is fearless. You have to have a level of fearlessness in the real waking world to follow your dreams, because to many people who don't have those same dreams or follow their dreams at all could never understand your passion for a thing. Right? It is something you do that is going against the normal way people live their lives. It is going against so many people who will try to discourage you from following your dreams, to make you doubt following your dreams, and you have to have a strong fearlessness within yourself to follow those dreams and to pursue those realities. Where I love how that is true for the waking world, for people who exist that aren't lucid dreaming constantly, but also very true in dreams. You are more fearless. You can be more fearless in your dreams, and you can do things that you never would have thought you could do. But with the protection of this imaginary reality, you can, in a lot of ways, do more, survive worse. You know, the craziest nightmares you've had, most people have never experienced in real life, although some things in real life can definitely be more traumatizing and scary than any nightmare could hope to be. But I love that message of this movie. Also, the ability to use dreams to not only go on adventures, to not only, you know, be that fearless person that you may not be in your regular life, but also dreams having that ability to allow you to reconnect with people that you've lost, like loved ones that are no longer with you, or loved ones that you no longer have connection with, you know? And dreams provide that, almost that technology to allow you to experience those people again, or experience those people in ways you weren't able to experience them in real life. And how life itself is in many ways the ultimate dream, because it is something that's not as temporary as the actual dream world. And you can turn your life into something that is more of an adventure. You can pursue those dreams in reality to a certain extent. Obviously, you're not going to be able to ride your bed as it's walking down the streets of a major city. But, you know, there is so much potential within life to have those adventures and to pursue dreams and to realize the fearlessness that you have. So I absolutely love this movie. I had no idea. I was like, it wasn't on my radar, aside from, I think I had seen, like, you know, it's one of those trailers, I think, that popped up that I just quickly avoid, because Netflix loves to play trailers in their menus, and I hate trailers. They spoil movies. They ruin fun moments that I would rather see through the course of watching a film. And just one night, I was like, let's put this on, right? I'm about to go to sleep. Normally, I would put on one of many kind of sitcoms that I've seen many times, like Seinfeld or The Office or Parks and Rec. I was like, oh, let's put this movie on, see what it's all about. I saw that little clip of like the freeze frame where they're all frozen, and I was like, that looks cool. Let's see what it's, you know, see what other cool effects, whatever. Got hooked in right away and just fell in love with this movie. Let's take a little break from the show to promote the benefits of Inspired Disorder Plus. So you go inspireddisorder.com/plus. Sign up, $5 a month. You get to binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free. You get to watch all of the live painting videos I do. You get a special members-only discount and deals for all of the artwork and merch that I sell. You also get the complete podcast back catalog of every podcast I've ever produced, hundreds of episodes, countless different podcasts. You also get access to my personal blog. A new blog comes out every week. In addition to that, you get my creative writing that I'm releasing. You also get access to Asking Me Anything. 14 years of experience podcasting. I've been creating art my entire life. I've been using Photoshop since middle school, and you can contact me to ask me questions about that or anything else. So those are the benefits for signing up for Inspired Disorder Plus. And now let's get back to the show. And I hope it's a movie that, I mean, I don't know how you could do more. I don't see how you could turn this into a franchise of any kind. I mean, definitely there could be a second movie where she goes back and has more adventures with Flip in her dreams or whatever. So you could. make a movie, and it just wouldn't have the same impact as this movie does with her losing her father. I don't know, maybe I could be somebody else, but it's like that. It definitely sets up a kind of stakes, or it definitely gives her a lot more motivation to go on these journeys, where at the end of it, it feels like she's gone through that issue and she's kind of worked past her things and came out the other end a rejuvenated type of a person. So they could do more. I don't think they should, and I think this may have been based on a book, I believe. A dreamworld precocious Nemo and her eccentric companion Flip embark on the... Yeah, that's just... I think it's based on a book. And I don't know where I'm going to see this anywhere. I mean, in the writing credits, it doesn't say... I mean, there's 2 screenplay writing credits. Michael Handelman and David Guion? I don't know. I loved it, though. It's a great movie. If you're into like a PG, I mean, it's a great family adventure film for sure. Holidays are here, families in town. It's a great one to put on with the family. If you're a 42-year-old adult, it's a great movie to put on if you're like at surreal adventure movies. If you like the idea of adventures taking place in people's dreams. Not quite the same type of a movie as Inception, right? That's a very different movie that takes place in people's dreams. This is way more fantastical. These dreams, I would say the dreams in Slumberland, in my opinion, are way more representative of the dreams that I have in my experience. Way more than the dreams I have. I've never had dreams really that Inception reminded me of. I mean, even though I've had dreams that definitely remind me of reality to a frightening extent, and those are probably the most depressing dreams. When you have a dream, like especially like if you have a dream that you're like at work, right, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, I got to go to work, and I just spent all night dreaming that I was at work. It's like I never left. It's like I'm in Severance, right? This is my hell, where even when I'm asleep, I'm at work. But not to the extent of the dreams in Inception, right? Where cities are bent. I mean, there's definitely some moments of surreal elements in Inception, but not nearly like this. Right? Like, there's dreams where I'm flying and things are like, maybe not to the extent of surreal as this either. I guess they're probably in between Slumberland and Inception. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Check it out. It's on Netflix. I haven't heard anybody talk about this movie, and it did just come out. So hopefully I will hear on the other movie podcasts that I listen to. I hope that I will hear of everybody talking about this movie and how great it is, because it is. Just purely from visual, it's amazing. But then everything else, like as a complete like package, there's nothing in this movie that made me that I couldn't think of any criticisms to lay on this movie. Right? Every aspect of it I thought was well done. The performances, the casting, everything, great. So check it out. Netflix, Slumberland.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at InspiredDisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at InspiredDisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.